What's up, everybody? Citizen Kimberly here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for subscribing. I can't tell you how much I enjoy reading your comments in that comment section. It gives me so much life. I'm tickled pink. But now it's time for an episode of Netflix and Chop, where we slice open and dissect the feature film. Today's feature we're going to be discussing is a 2016 dark comedy titled Trash Fire. The story starts off, and we have the young dude from Entourage, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's having this discussion with his psychiatrist, and he's going into this huge and long monologue about these ominous dreams that he's having and his thoughts. And all of a sudden he's interrupted when he notices that the psychiatrist has fallen asleep. Note, I have addressed this issue before with psychiatrists in movies acting disinterested. This is an issue. However, the dude from Entourage counteracts and agrees with my thoughts and theories on how psychiatrists and psychologists, when looking uninterested, should be instantly fired, and that is what he does. So then we get a look into the dude from Entourage's life, and he is a really uncool dude, and he has this relationship with his girlfriend who, in my opinion, is also uncool. They have a very dysfunctional relationship wherein the girl, she's complaining and she notices all of these very unsavory characteristics that are attributed to the dude from Entourage, and they kind of go at it for maybe 10 to 15 minutes during this movie. There's a scene where they're sitting at dinner and the girlfriend is just constantly complaining while the dude from Entourage is completely disinterested. He's eating his steak.
I love you.
He's chewing. He's not trying to hear it. He's drinking. The girlfriend is complaining about him drinking, but of course he doesn't care. We do discover that the couple has been together for at least 3 years. Now, in my opinion, the girlfriend's character is kind of a miss, because I'm like, look, girl, you know what the deal is. You've been with this dude for 3 years. You're clearly unhappy, but yet you keep complaining and he hasn't changed. So I'm wondering like what her problem is versus his problem, because he's not complaining. We also discover during the film that the dude from Entourage suffers from seizures. Of course, the girlfriend takes care of him, but I'm still wondering, if she's so completely unhappy, why is she still in this relationship? But these things don't matter, because then I suppose we wouldn't have a movie. As we continue on in the film, we are kind of following their completely disruptive and corrupt and just unhealthy relationship. We discover that the dude from Entourage has some dark secrets from his past. We also discover that his current girlfriend, the girl who just can't stop complaining, is now pregnant with his child. And so they kind of come together and decide to have this child, even though their relationship is unhealthy and they haven't done anything to work on it really. Even if they have been attending these psychological and psychiatric sessions with this psychiatrist that is completely uninterested in the situation, they decide to have the baby together, and the girlfriend suggests that they get to know everyone's family, and including the dude from Entourage's family, who he hasn't seen for many, many years. Now, during the course of the movie, we discover through conversations that the dude from Entourage has a completely messed up background. His two parents have died in a fire, along with his sister, who didn't die, but she was completely burnt. Over 80% of her body just completely destroyed. We also discover through these conversations that the dude from Entourage and his sister were living with the grandmother, who's just this terrible lady, and he was going to run away with the sister. However, he didn't do that. He just kind of left her on the side of the road and never returned. Now, how this works out in reality, I don't know, but we continue on. So they take this trip down to the dude from Entourage's old house. They meet the grandmother. This grandmother is just she's a terrible person. However, these conversations are completely witty and very funny. We also discover that the sister is still living there, and she's just creepy. As they're there, lots of interesting facts start to kind of emerge. We see more of a story. More things start to bloom in light of the destructive past that the dude from Entourage has had. So now I'm going to stop with the plot analysis and I'm going to go straight into my thoughts on the film. Okay, so this movie is described as a dark comedy. Now, when I first started watching the movie, of course it starts off, as I said, with the dude kind of spilling his guts to the psychiatrist, and then we kind of get into this meaty and almost lengthy view into the relationship between the dude from Entourage and his girlfriend. You know, many times we see these kind of odd and quirky relationship movies, and it gets to be a little bit old. At some point I was feeling like this movie was kind of going there with the sarcastic back and forths, but then it gets to kind of be a little bit grating because you're like, you know, realistically, two people who get along as these characters do, they just shouldn't be together, and watching it kind of gets to be a little bit annoying. Like, I'm not into the complexities of an odd, quirky, sarcastic, and highly intelligent, you know, couple who just agrees to be together in all of their unhappiness. And Adrien Grenier has bulimia, and he has seizures, and he has this dark past. And we have the girlfriend. We don't really know too much about her past, except, you know, her brother is super religious. And it borderline teeters on a little bit annoying, at least for the first 20 minutes. When it really gets kind of juicy is when they get to the grandmother's house and we get introduced to the sister, who's played by Annalynne McCord. You may know her from 90210. Surprisingly, in this role, she does a super duper job as being this creepy, burnt sister. She's a very attractive lady, and we don't even get to see that, so we kind of focus on her acting skills, which were really deliciously awesome. And the grandmother was deliciously awesome. And also the relationship with the dude from Entourage and the girlfriend, combined with the grandmother and the sister, made the story really interesting to watch. I was so sucked in, and you know, this movie is shot very artfully, and once we kind of get into these kind of psychological visions and flashbacks and the monologues that the grandmother has, it begins to be one of those movies where you just can't stop watching, you just can't stop listening, and you are consistently paying attention to what is going on in the film. And I found this very interesting. I found it highly watchable. I found all of the characters really complex in a good way, and I'm going to give it, and another thing, let me just say that this film starts to get super creepy, and I rarely get creeped out by films because I'm a big horror movie fanatic, so things rarely get under my skin. I'm rarely shocked, I'm rarely surprised, but this film kind of makes it a little bit hard for me to be on my high horse of critiquing, because I was legitimately creeped out, and I felt like the art and the very smart writing made this film delicious. The ending is really terrific. It's almost like watching a stage play. So if you're into films that are very art house and have really complex writing, but the characters are interesting and juicy, it wraps up nicely, the ending is a surprise, and you'll be sucked in, you should watch this movie, Trash Fire. It's a diamond in the rough, and you know, I'm always talking about dark comedies. This movie was dark. This movie served, if you love dark comedies, you're going to be highly interested in this. I would recommend watching this movie because, you know, I'm rarely surprised, and I was completely surprised. So what a 180 this film does from the beginning to the end, because it definitely starts to kind of morph and change, and I was definitely into that happening. I was there for the metamorphosis, and it turned into something globulous and wonderful that I was completely into. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out my other videos. My specialty is horror, but I watch anything that might spark my interest. Please don't forget to comment and share as you've been doing. I love your comments. I love your perspectives. So keep on putting those down in that comment box, because that gives me life and I'm completely into it. So, you guys remember what the deal is? If you're into it, watch it.